So 2020 has been a bit of an ordeal, but 2021 boasts a lot of exciting movies that we've long awaited over the past year. One movie in particular that's on the horizon is Venom 2: Let There Be Carnage. I'm actually really excited for this movie, and I hope it does the character justice. While someday I may break down what I think this upcoming film is going to be or what I thought about the first one, today I want to take a look at a really interesting list. I want to take a look at every character who has worn the Venom symbiote in comic book history. Before we dive in, it'd be awesome if you guys could take a second to subscribe to the channel. It really helps out the channel and it keeps you guys in the loop whenever new content comes out. Anyways, let's get to it. This list is actually really crazy, and to keep it a bit more manageable, I'm only mentioning characters who have worn the suit in the main Marvel universe, the 616 universe, so I won't be getting to every possible what-if storyline in various other universes. I'm also only referring to the main Venom symbiote itself, not all symbiotes. For those of you who aren't in the know, Venom is an alien symbiote who requires a host body to live and thrive. It grants the being with incredible powers, but it can also take over the mind of the host. That being said, the host and the symbiote share a very close relationship, and it's very significant when the symbiote chooses to bond with someone. For that reason, I'm going to split this list into two parts. We'll first look at characters who only briefly wore the suit, and second, we'll look at characters who were true hosts to the Venom symbiote. So starting out with this list of characters who had a short stint with the suit is Ben Reilly. Ben was in a crazy battle in the Planet of the Symbiote storyline, and as Eddie Brock was defeated, the suit jumped onto Ben and tried to bond with him. Thanks to Ben being strong-willed, he fought off Venom and the alien eventually returned to Eddie Brock. Up next we have Annie Weying. As we saw in the movie, Eddie's ex-lover donned the suit for a period of time. She was shot by the Sin Eater in the comic books, and Brock gave her the symbiote in order to save her life. During this time of having the symbiote, she attacked the people that hurt her, and this whole event left her emotionally traumatized because she couldn't come to terms with the fact that she had done monstrous things as She-Venom. This story takes an even darker turn as several years later, she saw Spider-Man swinging by her window in his black suit. This made her panic because she thought it was Eddie with the Venom symbiote coming back for her. In her panic, she chose to end her life. Clearly, being Venom is not always a good thing. Coming up next on the list is Patricia Robinson. Robinson was part of the US military and ended up getting a portion of the Venom suit bonded to her body. She found that the suit and her have a like mind, and they end up befriending one another. This later comes to a head when she is convinced that she can save humanity by killing the main Venom suit. They do battle, but she eventually loses, and the main Venom suit resorbs the piece of the suit she was wearing. The next victim of the Venom symbiote is Angelo Fortino. I actually have no idea if I'm saying his name right, so anyway, yeah guys, you help me in the comments. But anyway, Angelo was the frail son of a mob boss who was constantly picked on for being weak. In an attempt to toughen up his son, Angelo's father goes to a black market deal and pays $1 million for the symbiote. Even though Angelo was warned of the dangers, he accepts his father's gift and bonds with the symbiote. He decides to kill Spider-Man to prove his worth, but he ultimately failed. The suit was so disgusted with his cowardice and failure, the suit let him fall off a building to his death. Yeah, people who keep wearing this suit keep dying. I think we should all keep our distance. Hey, 6 feet? Hey, black goo? Hey, 6 feet? Stay home, stay safe, okay? A brief entry on the list is from the Spider-Man Red Sonja series. Cullen Gass stole the symbiote from Eddie Brock and had it for a period of time, but it was short-lived. The symbiote was eventually defeated and given back to Brock. The next person to don the symbiote might surprise you, and that is Carol Danvers herself. Yes, in the Siege storyline, Spider-Man and Miss Marvel were fighting Venom. They were able to get the suit unbound from his host, but this led to Venom bonding with Carol. Thankfully, Carol's able to go ham and rip the symbiote off her. In a crazy storyline where Ghost Rider, Red Hulk, and Agent Venom all go to hell, Venom briefly bonded with Red Hulk in order to subdue him and not allow him to hurt his host. Eventually, this was all sorted out and Venom let Red Hulk go. But for a brief moment, we got Red Venom Hulk, which is pretty freaking crazy. The next 8-legged creature to get the symbiote was none other than Dr. Otto Octavius in the Superior Spider-Man. So technically, this is a little bit sketchy because Otto was using Peter Parker's body, so it could be argued that this is just Peter getting the symbiote again, but I say it still counts as Doc Ock getting the symbiote. But anyway, this is a story where we get Agent Venom and the Superior Spider-Man, and they go at it. Briefly, Otto became the Superior Venom, though he quickly realized that this wasn't for him and eventually gave the symbiote back to its original host. At a point we'll talk about a little bit later, Venom was actually a part of the Guardians of the Galaxy, and during a crazy series of events, the suit bonded with Groot, and in the process of trying to save their friend, Drax and Rocket also get bonded to the symbiote, essentially creating the Venoms of the galaxy. I'd pay to see that movie probably, because I'm a sucker and I've bought Funko Pops, so that tells you something about me. But anyway, staying on the Agent Venom theme, Mysterio, the 4D man, got the suit for a hot second during his battle with Agent Venom. This was a seriously significant event because the Venom symbiote was getting reformed and cleansed of its murderous ways, and bonding with the immensely evil 4D man basically undid all of that good stuff that had been happening for Venom. Lastly, on this brief stint for the symbiote list, we have Quentin Beck, aka Mysterio. In a flashback series, Mysterio stole a piece of the Venom suit from Spider-Man and was later captured by the Kingpin. This piece of the suit then bonded with him and allowed him to escape. Mysterio then went after Spider-Man, but I'm guessing you guys probably know how that one went. Anyway, now we can get on to the main part of this list, characters who have been hosts with Venom for a real significant period of time. To start off this list, we have the one and only Peter Parker. Back in the original Secret Wars event in the 1980s, Peter Parker was on Battleworld fighting for his life. His costume was torn to shreds, and he needed a replacement. Thor and Hulk directed him to a machine that can supposedly read minds and make any type of costume needed. Spider-Man was all pumped for this, but actually picked the wrong machine and ended up getting a black orb that covered his body and created a black suit. The suit gave him enhanced strength and infinite webbing. Spider-Man just thought this was an awesome side effect of the machine and went on with his life. But when he later returned to Earth, he discovered some things. Peter started to suspect that the suit may be using his body without his consent, and he was waking up from sleep feeling as if he'd been out crime fighting all night long. After Mr. Fantastic examined the suit, he discovered that it had been taking over Peter's body without his knowledge. Peter then rightfully freaked out and got rid of the suit, but it wanted to stay with Peter. This led to the classic confrontation in the cathedral, where Peter used the clock tower to defeat the symbiote and gain his freedom. In more modern times, after the suit has bonded with many other hosts, Peter again buried the hatchet with Venom in order to use their combined strength to defeat the Red Goblin. Moving on, as Peter lost his suit in the clock tower, Eddie Brock gained the suit. As seen in Spider-Man 3, Eddie was a corrupt reporter who hated Spider-Man. He had been depressed and suicidal and sought solace in the church. While he was there praying, the symbiote and Peter were having their epic battle in the clock tower. After the symbiote was beaten and left Spider-Man, it then found Eddie Brock, who was in the bottom of the church. The two bonded over their hatred of Spider-Man and became known as Venom. Brock had the suit for many, many years and is the most well-known version of the character. He has lost the suit and regained it several times over the years, but once again in the modern comics, he is currently the host of Venom. During the superhero Civil War and all the subsequent comic book arcs, Mac Gargan, a villain you probably know better as Scorpion, is actually the next host of Venom. The suit approached him under the guise of bonding with Mac to give him more incredible powers. This turned out to be only half true. While the suit did enhance Mac's abilities, it also completely controlled his mind and body. Unlike Eddie Brock, Mac was unable to control the symbiote at all and was generally terrified of it, but he was kind of addicted to it and was really unable to get Venom off him. Later on, he served as the Spider-Man villain for Norman Osborn's Dark Avengers, and later joined the Thunderbolts to catch unregistered heroes during the Civil War. At one point, the suit was so injured, Mac had to use his Scorpion armor to cover up the Venom suit, and they ended up becoming Venorpion? I guess that's what that's called. Come on, Marvel, can we not come up with any better names? But anyway, eventually Norman Osborn and his Dark Avengers were shown to be frauds and were arrested. In prison, Mac had the suit ripped away from him, effectively ending his time as Venom. That being said, Mac was actually Venom for a pretty long time, like several years in the comics, and it was a much more dark take on the character, as Osborn's cronies allowed the suit to really take over Mac, and they kind of ran wild and like ate people and stuff. It was pretty wild. Up next, we have my favorite host of Venom, and that is the one and only Flash Thompson. I actually covered Agent Venom in another video, 5 Marvel heroes who deserve a shot in the MCU, so feel free to check that out after this video. But anyway, suffice it to say, Flash is amazing. He was Peter Parker's longtime high school bully, but later decided to be more like Spider-Man and become a hero. He turned his life around and joined the army in order to try his best to be the hero that he wanted to be. But during his time in action, he lost both of his legs from the knee down. This obviously ended his military career, or so he thought. Being desperate to still serve his country, Flash volunteered for a program he knew very little about. It turned out that he was chosen to be given the Venom Symbiote for 48 hours in order to carry out special ops missions. The positives were that the Venom suit would be sedated so he could fully control it. This would give him back the use of his legs and give him all the powers of Spider-Man. The downside is that if he used the suit for more than 48 hours, the sedatives would wear off and the suit would take control of Flash. The even bigger problem with this is that the government was planning to blow Flash up if he ever lost control of the suit. Obviously, Flash eventually lost control of the suit but didn't get blown up, and this begins the awesome cycle of Flash beginning to befriend and influence the suit. He and Venom start to develop this friendship, and Flash's tenacity and heroism eventually rub off on Venom, to the point where the symbiote actually wants to help people. This leads to some crazy adventures and even a stint as a space cop with the Guardians of the Galaxy. Sadly, Flash did not keep the suit for forever. After several years of being Venom, Lee Price was the next Venom, and he is a bit weird and not my favorite character at all. The symbiote was somehow separated from Flash, and it was never really explained how in the main book, but the symbiote later turned up and was being sold by Black Cat on the black market. The suit then bonds with one of the thugs on the scene, an ex-military man, Lee Price. The suit was very weak at this point, but it really wanted Lee to be a hero like Flash. Unfortunately, Lee was no hero and overpowered the suit's weak mind and used Venom to become a truly vicious crime lord. He was later stopped by Spider-Man and company and lost the symbiote. Lee's story then eventually ends later on when Cletus Cassidy, aka the host of Carnage, kills him in jail and frames Eddie Brock for his murder. So yeah, this is the lame story of Lee Price. To all you Lee Price fans, I'm sorry, but he just never did it for me. Next on our list is Telkar. He was one of the original hosts of Venom, before Spider-Man ever discovered him on that alien planet. Telkar was an alien during the Kree-Skrull War and used the Venom symbiote to impersonate Skrulls with Venom's shape-shifting abilities. He had full control of Venom for a long period of time, but was eventually captured and separated from him. Venom then eventually went on to meet Peter Parker and bond with him. Later on, Telkar came back to Earth seeking Venom, but was eventually defeated and lobotomized by another symbiote. Again, really sucks to be Venom. We have one more entry on this list, and guys, it is kind of insane. The last entry on our list is none other than the Dark Elf Malkith. During the insane War of the Realms storyline, by the way, if you've never heard about this series or never read it, seriously, do yourself a favor and check it out. It's amazing. But anyway, during this event, Malkith was trying to take over the realms and eventually separated the symbiote from Eddie Brock. Malkith eventually captured and tortured the symbiote until he was able to create his god-killing weapon out of the symbiote. This may sound super weird, but there's a whole crazy backstory about it that I don't have time to get into right now. But if you want to learn more about what this Necro Sword-like thing is, look up Gore and the Necro Sword, or just bug me about it in the comments and maybe I'll make a video on it later. But anyway, after using the Venom symbiote to create his weapon, he looked like he was literally going to rule the universe. But he was eventually stopped in an epic battle with the Thor Corps, who were basically a bunch of different versions of Thor from various times and places, and also some of the other regular Avengers and stuff, and after they defeated Malekith, Venom was again freed. But yeah, that is the crazy life of everyone who has worn the Venom suit. So yeah, that's the end of our list. Thanks for watching, everyone. I did my best to research this topic and include everyone on this list. If you think I missed someone, let me know about it in the comments below. And also comment below who's your favorite person to ever wear this suit. If you guys wouldn't mind, I'd really appreciate it if you guys could subscribe to the channel and also click that bell icon to make sure you stay up to date with all Agent Jim Short's content. Also, if you found this video enjoyable, a like is always appreciated. Follow me on Instagram to keep up with all the news and fun stuff happening on the channel. And as always, don't forget to stay frosty.